What I'm going to share with you today will be very revealing and helping you instantly see where you are in relationship with your spirit, your ego, your feminine energy, and your masculine energy. Why does this matter? If we are overactive and polarized in one energy more dominantly than the other, no matter where we are in the spectrum, we end up perpetuating the cycle of codependency, fear, scarcity, lack, not enoughness, not even realizing that we're doing so, and trying so hard to change conditions outside of us in order to get what we want or feel better or feel worthy, all the things to run from whatever we don't want to face or to numb what is painful. And we create an addiction to codependency by operating from polarized parts of us that are all disconnected or scattered. And what I'm going to share with you today will help you to first instantly have that awareness with where you are. I'm going to show you a graphic on the screen in just a minute. It's pretty cool. And will help you to consciously come back into balance, rooted and centered, with a full integration of all aspects of who you are. I'm talking about both the light and dark and everything in between. So when people talk about shadow work and integrating the dark and the light, I'm going to share exactly what that means today and give you a very simple process that you can do that right now. Okay, so I'm looking at a screen for me right now, but I'm just going to throw them up for you here so you can see what I'm seeing. All right, if you take a look at the chart here, you can see that I have the horizontal axis represented by our feminine and masculine energy, and the vertical axis representing our spirit and ego. So feminine energy, being, receiving, nurturing; masculine, doing, giving, providing. And I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about this energy that is within all of us. And then spirit, representing who we really are, source energy, God, universe, inner being, whatever name you want to use. And then at the very bottom, our ego, being in victim mode and our need to survive. So usually before we awaken, I'm going to start off with the ego here. This is where we operate. This is what we identify as before we become aware to the presence of our spirit. And from this identity illusion, I'm going to call it, we perpetuate fear and lack and scarcity, and we live in a fear-based world. When we look at the world, we just see fear. We see how horrible it is, and we do everything we can to control over other people so that we can survive, every man for himself, for example, and we're essentially perpetuating our victim stories. What's happening here is that we are avoiding our inner light. We are disconnected from the nature of who we really are, which means that perpetually we are going to stay in the dark. So usually this happens, because we enter a world that is already traumatized. We enter a family system that already has unhealed, unresolved issues and baggage. And depending on our caregivers, whether they were more dominant in their masculine or feminine energy, we're going to end up finding ourselves polarized in one of those energies. And I'm going to go next to the masculine energy, but I'm just going to go counterclockwise. It doesn't represent everybody's journey. It's not a linear process or like a cyclical process. Anybody can be anywhere at any time, depending on what wound they are repressing. Okay. So if we go now, that's one polarity, the ego. If we go now over to being polarized in our masculine energy, we are now overdoing, overgiving, over providing what we don't have. We're overdoing at our own expense, overperforming to fill a void. What is the void? The void is our inner feminine. We're avoiding our inner feminine. And this may happen because maybe we were wounded by the feminine energy, or maybe we never knew what it was like to get our own needs met, to be nurtured, which is a part of our feminine need. In order to continue giving and doing, we need that balance of of feeling nurtured and loved as well. So then let's go to the polarized nature of spirit. Okay. Now I know that it's probably like, wait a minute, isn't that a good thing to be way up there? When you look at the bigger picture of this, if we are, I'm going to call this way out up into the cosmos, way out into the ethereal realm, then if we're up here, we're using spirituality to escape our physical reality. And what we are avoiding is we're avoiding our inner darkness. And you might experience this as like the toxic positivity, where there's a fake smile and someone says like, everything's fine, all is well, but really you can feel that they're trying so hard to avoid that dense energy because again, it's a survival, a coping mechanism. And people that use spirituality to escape are ungrounded and have a hard time operating and functioning as a human being here on earth. Okay. Let me move on to the next polarity now. If we are polarized in our feminine energy, because maybe we were wounded by masculine energy and we don't feel safe with masculine energy. So then we want to deny and avoid our inner masculine, which keeps us now in a state of always wanting to just be and be in the flow and just always want to be receiving and to be focusing on nurturing, whether we're nurturing ourselves or nurturing others. And I'm going to call this overindulging. And it could be yourself or other people in order to fill the void of our inner masculine. So in this, I'll start with the feminine masculine polarity. In this energy of avoidance, from one polarized energy avoiding the other, what's funny about this, and you all know, I'm sure you'll see this in your life pattern and other people's lives as well, is that when we are polarized in our feminine energy, we're going to attract the polar opposite of the masculine energy to us. Why? Because we're going to seek externally for them in order to try to meet that unmet need. But what ends up happening is two toxic people coming together, creating toxic codependency. But the same for the masculine, over polarized, the masculine will want to find what they might see as a weak feminine that they can overdo and overgive for, so that it creates a sense of codependency, and it works in both directions. Okay, works is not the word, but it's working as in the need to manipulate to get your needs met. And it's happening in both directions. So you may see this pattern in maybe your past relationships. You may see this pattern maybe in your family relationships. You may see this pattern in how the world around you operates. And people may not be aware of this if they haven't yet chosen to awaken to the nature of who they really are. So there's more to these dynamics. I'm going to share with you 4 more polarized energies. So if you look at the bottom left of the chart, in the direction of polarized feminine and polarized ego, if we are operating there, we end up becoming the martyr, because we want to overindulge or be over nurturing to other people, but yet from the ego standpoint, perpetuating fear, scarcity, lack, we are then think that we must sacrifice ourselves, and to remain in a state of sacrifice and lack and not having enough as our way to prove worthiness, to let me overgive what I don't have, let me sacrifice my own life so that I can gain some kind of love, which is conditional and temporary. It's not really love at all. And if you go to the opposite side now, where bottom right, over masculine in the ego, then we end up showing up as the savior, meaning that we want to create codependency where other people are depending on us to be their hero and do for them. Why? Because we're coming from the ego's need to survive, and we want to create a sense of fear or disability in other people so that we can keep being the one to save them. No, don't do it. I'll do it for you. And then we enable people to remain victims so that we can save them in order to fill that void of worthiness, which is again an illusion, and it's temporary. It doesn't even really fill the void. And it just perpetuates our own need to survive. So now if you look up toward the upper right, where you have polarization in spirit and masculine energy, then you show up as the lone wolf. So yes, there's an awakening here, because then you're feeling connected and tuned in to the nature of who you really are, but there's still an avoidance happening, because the lone wolf mentality is F the world, I can do everything myself, I don't need you. Okay, so they go off, they can take care of themselves and provide for themselves, and they're using, they're tuning into the connection of their spirit to get the fulfillment that way. But they're still avoiding their own physical life experience, and their true need to connect with other people. Okay, so the last one, looking at the top left, polarized energy, polarized in spirit and polarized in feminine energy. If you're operating there, you're going to show up as the hermit. Okay, and I know that myself included, we've been in all of these polarities on the journey. But as you know, hermit mode, then you're in seclusion in a different way, but in the sense of honoring, polarizing your femininity. I just need to nurture myself, and I just need to tune in and just be one with spirit. And again, avoiding the physical reality, avoiding other people, yet at the same time desiring connection, but wanting to hermit out for whatever feelings of unworthiness or whatever wound we're repressing. Okay, whatever void that we're escaping or trying to fill. So let's look at this now that we see the big picture of all the polarities that are within every single one of us. It's not bad or wrong, so to speak, to be in any of these polarities. It is inevitable that we are going to end up somewhere here at different points along our journey, because we are naturally responding, reacting, or triggered, or wounded, or creating our own experiences that will lend us to polarize into another direction. Why do we do that? It's not just because we're trying to escape a void, but it's also because it's going to help us to heal. Okay, so let's talk about how this serves us in our healing. So if you look at the lower part of the chart here, martyr, ego, savior energy, we are in the lower, denser energy, and it's inevitable that we must and will experience this in our life experience, because without experiencing what it feels like to suffer and to be in the dark and to be in scarcity, fear, and lack, you don't have any contrast that will spark the desire in us to want to come out into the light. Okay, so being in that dense energy and knowing what it's like to suffer and experience pain, the whole spectrum of the human experience, serves us in that way, in that contrast that is needed in order for us to rise into a new way of being. Okay, and I'm going to insert if we choose. It is always a choice. So then if you look at the upper half of the chart here, going up into spirit energy, hermit, and lone wolf, this is where we begin to develop the awareness of where we have been. We are entering the light. We are coming into more ownership and awareness of our light. What is happening here is that we need to go to these extremes now in this awareness, because we need to heal. We're looking back at our darkness like, oh, I see what happened now. What do I need to learn from this? So these are all aspects serve us in so many different ways, that the reason why that we end up polarized in these energies is because it's a part of our cycle of healing, our natural death and rebirth along the journey of healing and transformation. Okay, so what is my point in all of this? Why does knowing all of this matter? First of all, let me show you a clean chart here. And just kind of like, I want you to maybe look at this chart and then close your eyes and just ask spirit, just feel into, if you had to like point your finger on the screen where you are on this journey right now, Like, just go ahead and do it right now. Lift your finger and see where spirit wants you to see where you are on the screen. You probably already intuitively know. And then open your eyes. Where did you place yourself? Okay, so just maybe you already knew that. Maybe this is like a new discovery or awareness for you. But just kind of place yourself there to see where you are here now. Okay, and then now just acknowledge, like, what patterns do you see happening in your life as a result of being wherever you are now? Okay, how is it serving you maybe? How is it supporting you to be there? And then also, how is it a disservice to you? Or how is it possibly creating more anxiety or more suffering? And answer only the questions that resonate with you. But the point of this is for you to have that awareness of where you are right now. And wherever you are right now is perfect. Know that and accept that and embrace that with your love as your truth, that where you are right now is perfect. You don't need to be anywhere else. Okay, you can allow this unfolding for you to happen naturally at your own free will. So, how do we integrate when we're doing the work to come into unity consciousness? Oftentimes we are looking at the world outside of us like, we need to bring everybody in unity. I need to bring them in unity and have them come together with those people, or have them come together with me. If we're doing that, we're still operating from a codependent need, from this illusion of separation, because you're projecting the responsibility outside of us. For example, those of us that want to change the system, right? Change the government, change those type of people that believe in those things, or change those type of people that do those disgusting behaviors that we don't like. It's not how it works. When we focus there, we end up coming from maybe it's an energy of disgust or resentment or pain or fear and anxiety. And by focusing there on them, we disconnect from our own power, giving our power away, thereby perpetuating more to be fearful and anxious about. So, why it's so important to know where you are in this journey, where you are in any of these polarized energies, is because that is what you are going to experience in your own reality. All of us, while here on this same Mother Earth, are living in our own realities. Multiple worlds, one Earth. No, infinite worlds, one Earth. Because we're all coming from our own unique perspective, backgrounds, purpose, beliefs, in our own life experience. When you know where you are, and then you see how it's showing up in your life, maybe if you're in a polarized area, you can see how the opposite is showing up for you, and you're like, the way that you get rid of, you can't get rid of it. You bring it back to you. Okay, so that's going out there. What am I denying in me that I'm not activating, or that I'm repressing, or that I'm avoiding within myself? Okay, and I'm actually, that's got to be a separate video, because that's we're going into really, really deep work. But I want to make this simple and make this light. So the way that you can begin doing this is by asking yourself these questions. So the first question is, what am I feeling while I'm thinking? When you ask yourself that question, you already begin to come into the awareness of both your spirit and ego. Spirit, what you're feeling, sensing, intuiting, for example, and ego coming from the mind, what you're thinking. Okay, this is again the energy that you're embodying. So when you ask yourself, what am I feeling while I'm thinking? Then there's just harmony between both your spirit and ego. And then when you can feel like, do these thoughts bring me fear, scarcity, and doubt? Then that means, oh, I'm polarized in my ego right now. But if you're like, oh, these thoughts I'm thinking, they feel like relief, they feel joyful, they feel like trust and knowing that all is well, they feel like love and appreciation, then you know that you're integrating the presence of your spirit by choosing those thoughts. And that's how you can begin to see, there it is. I'm centered, I'm anchored, I'm not avoiding something in me, I'm bringing them together. Maybe I've taken a breath to tune in and to reconnect to the nature of who I am, to allow the presence of my spirit to be here now. And then from that state of being, a thought emerges that is of harmony between my spirit and ego. Okay. And then for the feminine masculine polarity, you can ask yourself, who am I being while I'm doing? Okay. And again, same thing. You're coming out of either polarity where you've been, coming into the awareness of, okay, while I'm taking all these actions, masculine, am I being somebody who is like kind and loving and nurturing to myself and others? Am I taking action out of a place of grace and compassion? That's the feminine, right? Or am I steamrolling over other people, or just like do at my own expense, like literally killing myself and killing other people just to win or to get something done? And then you'll be able to instantly see, I'm polarized in my masculine. But when you are like, okay, let me take a break. I'm exhausted right now. Let me just breathe. Setting an intention. What energy do I want to create by taking these actions? And then maybe you're now allowing yourself to receive your insight and to be in your loving awareness. And then from that energy, from the acknowledgement of your feminine needs, taking action, now that you have the grace of the feminine, taking action in the masculine, harmonizing together, you're no longer in polarity. There's a unity of all these different, the spirit and ego, feminine and masculine coming together. And let's go in the opposite direction with the feminine, because I feel like this happens too. If we are maybe like an analysis paralysis, both feminine and ego, and we're like, I'm scared to take action because I feel like I'm not enough. So let me just go take a nap and let myself rest and just take care of myself. But then maybe days go by, or a lot of time goes by that's wasted when there was no productivity happening that you needed to get done in order to face your real life world responsibilities, for example. Okay, when you ask yourself, okay, who am I being while I'm doing? Am I being overindulgent in myself, negating my responsibilities of the things that I need to do today? Or am I nurturing myself with self-talk? Hey, you can do it. I believe in you. I trust you. Come on. You can take another break later, for example. I need you to get these things done, for example. Integrating your masculine with grace and with action. Then again, you can come into harmony with all aspects of you. Okay, so using these two questions, who am I being while I'm doing? And what am I thinking? What am I feeling while I'm thinking? It's so simple. It allows you to become aware of spirit and ego, feminine and masculine, and then be more intentional and conscious, and even just taking a moment to just pause and breathe and reconnect so that you can clean the slate and come back to neutral and feel into the desire and feeling tone that you want to create with, so that you have all aspects of you coming together in harmony. This is when you are truly operating from unity consciousness, because you are not trying to do it by changing everything, every condition outside of you, which you have no power over anyway. But it's about tuning in to become aware of your own energy and what you're embodying, so that you feel the unity, the harmony, the oneness, the peace with all aspects of you within you. So that now when you show up in the world, the way that you engage with other people is from a state of unity consciousness. You don't have to try to influence or force or persuade or manipulate others anymore, because you are the one coming from the embodiment, the energy, the radiance, modeling what unity is. You have the peace and harmony within you, and people can feel that when they're in your presence. And one last thing, I'm going to wrap up here. I don't want to forget the outliers, because again, this is still integrating all parts of us. So even at the center where everything intersects, where we're operating in integration and acceptance of all parts of us, we may still there may still be times where we need to be the lone wolf. But from the center, we're going to consciously choose, I need to be out on my own and do for myself right now. But you do it intentionally. Maybe it's like you are Asking your family or friends to just give you some space for the weekend so that you can just do what you need to do to take care of yourself, and then you come back. So there is a more deliberate creation happening. You're not trying to avoid anything. You're honoring what you need to go into lone wolf energy and then return, back to your center. Same with hermit. Maybe you're doing some healing work. You got triggered and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't be around people right now. I need to see what is coming up for me. So maybe you want to carve an hour out of your day where it's just for you to sit in silence. And maybe you're journaling or just breathing and being still. And then you come back to the responsibilities of your day. Or you consciously choose to go away on a retreat for a few days with the intention to heal and to reconnect to spirit and to be in your feminine. And then when it's done, then you come back centered and in the full integration. You can bring that healing and bring that gift with you. Same with the martyr and the savior energy. Maybe you realize somebody does need your help, and you're ready and willing and able to stop what you're doing. I don't want to say sacrificing your time, but you're willing to stop your plans and what you wanted to do in order to assist somebody who's in need right now, but you're doing it from a place of having something to offer. You're not doing it out of self-sacrifice and negating your own needs. Okay, so in that, it's not all the way out into the martyr archetype, but you're still able to maybe stop what you're doing and put your own plans aside to serve others' needs. And then because you can and are able to, it's not depleting you. And then you come back to your own needs and continue on with what you needed to do for yourself. And then lastly, with the savior energy, you can reach out to help other people. Maybe somebody fell down and they need you to physically lift them up because they can't do it for themselves. But you're not going to keep holding on to them and let them lean on you for the rest of their lives. You're going to help them get up and empower them until they can walk on their own 2 feet, for example. Okay, so it's like you can be the hero, so to speak, for them in that moment, but you are not their savior. You are empowering them to help them get back on their feet so that they can save themselves. Okay, and this is what I mean about even integrating all of those outliers into the oneness of who you really are, and being able to consciously and deliberately choose where it is that you want to be, always anchored and coming back home and returning to center as you need. I hope this was very revealing and supportive to you wherever you are on your journey right now. I am going to create another video to go into the deeper work of healing around these energies coming up very soon, with the healing the wounded masculine and healing the wounded feminine. So if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so. And for those of you who are really feeling stuck and maybe fearful or concerned about or struggle with coming into accept, maybe your masculine energy or your feminine energy, you're not feeling safe to do so, and you do have the desire to heal, I do offer one-on-one soul coaching and intuitive hypnotherapy. You can click the link on my website on the homepage here on YouTube, or visit my website, lindasulvita.com, that is always available to you for support to do that deeper inner soul work. There is so much on our journey, and if you were guided here to watch this video, thank you so much for doing your own work to come into your own alignment in your own healing and transformation. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.